Hello, welcome back to Learning Lab Live. I'm Jennifer Crawford, one of two co-founders of Sparent.
And I am Meredith Eaton, the other co-founder.
All right, so today's topic, Meredith, it's one of my favorite topics, actually. This is one that I've just been fascinated with. I'm calling it delegation stagnation. And we're going to unpack this a little bit today, but essentially a couple of things. It's got layers to it. We were noticing that a certain number of our clients were delegating things and then stopping. So they would get something off their plate, but then not delegate anything else. And Meredith, you and I know that our motto is always be delegating.
Exactly.
So we want to be constantly, as business owners, firing ourselves from day-to-day operations so we can gain that freedom to develop our business, right? So work on those high-level tasks. So Meredith, what has been your biggest lesson in terms of delegation stagnation?
Yes. All right. Well, this is a big one. And this is one that we've been kind of learning over and over as we go. And the biggest lesson is there's always more to delegate, which sounds somewhat obvious. But, there's the obvious stuff, there's the quick stuff, there's the easy stuff to get off your plate. And that is where a lot of people stop. But then some people take another step as they get used to the process of delegating and they take some other pieces off. But usually it's big, obvious surface chunks of stuff. But what really, and that's a game changer, but can really be a game changer that I discovered recently is when you take something that you thought was not able to be delegated, where you just sort of were like, I'm just going to have to do this forever. It's too complicated. It's too core. It's too big to my business, and are able to break it down and pull it apart into pieces and find parts that can be delegated. Maybe the whole thing, and probably if it's that, core, you're not going to delegate the whole thing. But sometimes you can delegate half of a process or one little piece of a process that might feel like just a small little thing, but it's amazing the way that 10 minutes here, offloading something that takes 10 minutes and offloading something else that takes 5 minutes and offloading something else that takes 10 minutes, becomes the sort of second level game changer in terms of your time and your productivity.
So that's so wise. And I love it for so many reasons, that whole breaking apart a complex task. Because if you're a business owner and you have resistance to delegating something because you feel like an intense ownership over it, you feel like you are the one that needs to do it. Your advice is great, because by breaking it up, not only can you get some of it off your plate, which is always very helpful, but if it's just a case of you needing to get comfortable or used to the idea of letting control of that task go, then this is like baby steps, because you're letting small pieces of it go until you are at a point where you can psychologically handle letting the entire process go. And chances are you can get to that point, right? If it's not a CEO task, if it's not something that only you can do in your company, then chances are those complex tasks can absolutely be delegated. But you know what? They take a lot more effort to delegate, because not only do you have to break them apart, but then you have to get those SOPs in place so that you can easily delegate them to somebody else. And, that takes a little extra attention as well. But such great advice.
And my favorite trick for making sure I'm always pushing myself to be delegating as much as possible is that every week I make sure I have a list of what is being delegated. And if I don't have anything on that list, then it means I have to go and look more closely at either what I've put on my list, what I assume can't be delegated, and sometimes it takes a little while of digging down to figure out some ways that I can either rearrange some stuff or pull some stuff out and challenge my own idea of what can and can't be delegated. And every time I've done that, it's like an entire like a door opens to an entire new universe of stuff that can be given away, that can be done by somebody other than me. And so, but it's a discipline, and you do have to hold yourself to it, like any other kind of discipline, of making sure that you're always delegating, that you're always forcing yourself to go through a task list.
Yeah, and it is uncomfortable, but guess what? Growth and comfort rarely coexist. So get uncomfortable and always be delegating. I want to talk about something that I've witnessed with our clients, and I think it's a little dangerous. Is a dangerous form of delegation stagnation. I was noticing that we'd have clients that would delegate something, usually, like you said, like a surface task, something that they could easily pass off. A lot of times, this was something along the lines of social media management, graphics creation, content creation, that sort of thing. Yet I would still have an overwhelmed business owner on my hands. And so we were looking at, like, why is this? Like, we're doing stuff, like, you have a VA, they're helping you. Why are you still overwhelmed? Well, what was happening, I noticed, is that they were delegating things that weren't being done anyway. So the social media had been neglected. So yes, it's a great thing to delegate. Happy they delegated it, but they didn't actually take anything off their own plate, and they didn't free up any time. So when you're delegating, don't just delegate something that's not being done anyway. Look at your tasking in a very granular way and see what is burdening your time. Like, what is a time burden that you don't need to be doing that's part of your daily operations? What is it that is sucking the joy out of your business, sucking your time away from working on your business? And start prepping to delegate those tasks. So Meredith and I have a personal process that we developed to keep ourselves on track, to make sure that we are always delegating, and delegating with a strategy in mind, making sure that the most urgent things and most impactful things are delegated first, and then everything else we plan to delegate down the road. We share that strategy in our monthly workshop. It's one of our most popular workshops because so much happens in this 90 minutes. You actually leave with a skill that you can use over and over again. We call it task mapping, but it is a method to categorize and prioritize everything that needs to be done in your business, realizing through the process, you'll realize what you should be focusing on as the CEO, like as that role in your business. And then what are the things that are in the most urgent category to delegate, and what can be planned for delegation later. So it's a really powerful process. And I don't think anybody, Meredith, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think anybody has gone through this workshop that has not been surprised by what it reveals about how they're spending their time and how they could be spending it investing. They're spending it and they should be investing it. So that is, it's a game changer at the end when you go through it every single time.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone always has light bulb moments and sort of insights. And the sort of nice thing about it is we teach you a method, we teach you a process for going through it, but you can adapt it to be what suits you. And so last month we had someone who said, that they might want to organize their tasks using sticky notes instead of one long list. Great. Do it. For Jen and I, we like long lists so we can cross stuff off. Sticky notes, a Kanban board, like whatever you want to do. It's really more about teaching this philosophy and this way of thinking about tasks in a way of prioritizing and organizing, so you can get out of that feeling of overwhelm when you just feel like there's so much to do, and where do I start, and how can I even begin to even delegate? I can't even wrap my head around, what has to get done today. So this is really just a way to break through that feeling of overwhelm, which, like everything in Spirit, we developed this task to solve our issues, our problems. When we first started the company, we would get really overwhelmed. There'd just be so much to do, and what do we do, and how do we start, and how do we divide it? And we developed this task mapping process. We fine-tuned it over the next year or so, and now we decided to share it with everybody else because it helped us. So hopefully it'll help you too.
Yeah. So it's on a great date. I think this date it's got to be magical just because it's 2/22/22. So easy to remember. 3 o'clock to 4:30. It's over Zoom. It's live. It's not a recorded workshop. It's interactive. Expect revelations. Expect a new approach to your business. If this is the year that you really want to get into that role of CEO, grow your business in a way that doesn't grow your stress or your working hours, this is the first step to get you where you need to go. I promise you, you will be so grateful for taking it. I do it every single time. We're doing it alongside everyone else because you can always apply it to where you are, what you're doing. If you're organizing a birthday party, you can apply it to that.
Exactly.
It is universally helpful. Love
exactly.
it.
So,
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week for our next learning lab. We'll share our next insights that we've had.
See you there. Bye, Sickle.